Think about the last time you chose something that truly mattered. A doctor for someone you love, a place to eat on a night that had to be special, someone to trust with your home, your car, your savings. How did you decide? Be honest. I doubt it was a clever advertisement. Most likely someone you trust leaned in and said, "Go to this one. They're wonderful, I promise." And in that one quiet sentence, something happened that no advertisement on earth could manage. Your doubt dissolved. Your search ended. You were sold before you ever walked through the door by a sentence that cost nobody a coin. So here is the question this whole talk turns on. Why is one whisper from a friend stronger than $1 million campaign? And can you make people say that sentence about you? The first answer is fascinating. The second is yes. And by the end of today, you'll know how. Last time, I promised we'd arrive at the most powerful force in marketing, the one money cannot buy. What happens when your reputation grows so strong that your own customers start doing your marketing for you? Welcome back to Marketing Management Foundations. I'm Sadia Kibria from Kotler Impact with the Azeemi Global Foundation. Today we meet the oldest, most trusted marketing in the world, word of mouth. I call it the original marketing, and I mean it literally. Long before logos, billboards, or screens, there was this. One person turning to another and saying, "I tried that. You should too." Picture a marketplace hundreds of years ago, 100 sellers all shouting at once. How did anyone choose? Not from signs. Most people couldn't read them. Not from advertisements. There were none. They chose the way humans always have. By reputation. By what the neighbors said. Go to the third stall. His dates are always sweet and he'll never cheat you. That sentence, carried from mouth to mouth across a village, was the most powerful marketing that ever existed. And here's the remarkable part. It still is. Advertising is the newcomer. Barely a blink old. Word of mouth is ancient. We're a social species. We survived by sharing what we learned. Which food was safe, which path was dangerous, which person could be trusted. Recommending and warning each other isn't a tactic. It's one of the oldest instincts we have. Marketing didn't invent word of mouth. Word of mouth came first, and marketing has been trying to earn it ever since. So why is it so powerful? Why does one sentence from a friend outweigh the most beautiful advertisement ever made? You already know. We found it together 2 talks ago. Trust. Remember the secret of why people buy. They say yes the moment trust grows larger than risk. Now think about what a friend's recommendation does to that balance. It doesn't just tip it, it removes the risk entirely. The fear that holds every buyer back is, what if I'm the one who gets it wrong? And a trusted friend answers that fear instantly. You won't. I already took the risk. I checked. Go. Nothing left to fear. Compare that to an advertisement. When a business praises itself, how much do you really believe? A little, maybe. But a quiet voice in the back of your mind says, of course they'd say that. They want my money. An ad is someone bragging about themselves, and we discount it on instinct. A recommendation comes from someone with nothing to gain. Your friend earns nothing when you love that restaurant, so you believe them completely. Advertising is what you say about yourself. Word of mouth is what others say about you. And we have always believed the others. It gets better. The customer who arrives on a recommendation arrives transformed, not skeptical, not braced for a pitch, already wanting to like you because someone they trust told them to. They are the warmest, easiest, most loyal customer you'll ever meet, sold before you've said a word. And this marketing is free. And it multiplies. One delighted person tells 3, those 3 tell 3 more, and it spreads on its own, like warmth through a cold room. But I have to stop and warn you because this beautiful force has a twin, and the twin is dangerous. Word of mouth runs both ways, and the bad direction is faster, louder, and travels much further. Here's a hard truth about people. We mention what delights us, but we really talk about what wounds us. Someone who feels cheated or ignored doesn't tell 3 people. They tell everyone for years with feeling. One betrayed customer can undo the goodwill of a dozen happy ones. This is why you can never fake your way to good word of mouth. The moment you break a promise, the moment you put your own gain above your customer's good, that same network of whispers turns on you and broadcasts the failure. Remember how we said, manipulation is a fire that warms you one night and burns the house down by morning? This is that fire. Word of mouth is the fair judge of marketing. It rewards the honest and punishes the false, and there is no appeal. So before we talk about earning it, let this settle. The only foundation that works is to be genuinely good. Everything else is built on that, which brings us to the question you've been waiting for. If this is the most powerful marketing there is and it's free, how do I get it? The honest answer first, you can't buy it. You can't pay people to mean it. By its nature, it has to be earned. But here's the good news that turns this from a nice idea into a real skill. You can't buy it, but you can cultivate it. Word of mouth is a garden. You can't force a flower to bloom by pulling on it, but you can prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and tend it until blooming becomes almost inevitable. So let me hand you the gardener's tools. There are only a few, and they're simpler than you'd think. The first tool is the hardest and the most important. To be talked about, you have to be worth talking about. And here's what almost no one wants to hear. Good enough is invisible. Nobody leaves an ordinary, perfectly fine experience and rushes to tell their friends. Why would they? It was exactly what they expected. And we don't share the expected. We share what surprises us, for better or worse. The merely adequate gets no mention. It just quietly disappears. There's a word I want you to carry with you. To be talked about, you have to be remarkable. Break it in half and hear it. Remark, able. Worthy of a remark. Something has to stand out enough that a person can't help but mention it. Blend in perfectly with every other option and you've given people nothing to say. Sameness is silence. So the question is no longer just, is my thing good? It becomes, where do I give people more than they expected? What's the one thing that makes someone walk out and say, you won't believe what they did? It doesn't have to be grand. Usually it's small. A thoughtful touch, an unexpected kindness, a detail nobody else bothers with. But you have to give them that spark of surprise, because the spark of surprise is the seed of every story. The second tool is subtle, and once you see it, you'll spot it behind everything that has ever gone around. When people share something, they do it for two reasons, and only one of them is about you. The first is kind. They want to help the people they love. They recommend a good doctor because they care about a friend's health. Beautiful. But the second reason is more surprising and just as strong. People share things because of what it says about them. Be honest. When you tell someone about a little restaurant you discovered, part of the pleasure is being the person in the know. The one with good taste who finds the gems first. We share what makes us feel something, and we share what makes us look good telling it. Generous, smart, caring, interesting. So here's the gardener's secret. Don't just give people a good experience. Give them a good story. One that's a pleasure to retell and lets the teller shine. Be so unexpectedly generous that your customer gets to play the hero. Can you believe they did that for me? For free? Remember the shopkeeper from our very first talk, who knew everyone's name? People didn't just shop there. They talked about him, because the man who remembers everyone is a lovely thing to tell. And it made the teller seem like someone who matters. Give people that. Give them something worth saying, and the joy of being the one to say it. Now 3 plain, unglamorous moves that finish the job. The first is consistency. Word of mouth depends on the good thing being repeatable, because the friend who recommends you is taking their own name on you. If they send someone your way and you let that person down, you haven't just lost a customer. You've embarrassed your champion, and they'll never send another. So be reliably good. Remember the chord from our talk on the 4Ps. Word of mouth is what happens when that chord rings true, over and over, until people trust it will ring true again. The second is to make it easy. Sometimes a customer would happily recommend you, but doesn't know how to describe what you do. So give them the words. One simple, clear phrase that captures what makes you special. When people can explain you in a single sentence, they share you far more often because you've made it effortless. The third is the one almost everyone is too shy to do. Ask. Gently at the right moment, when someone's happy, when they've just thanked you, say softly, "If you know anyone else who might need this, I'd be grateful if you send them my way." No pressure. As we learned last time, a warm, honest ask isn't shameful. It's just finishing the job of serving. Most happy people would gladly refer you. They simply never think to. So help them think to. Underneath all of it, the surprise, the story, the consistency, the asking, there's one spirit that powers the whole thing. If you forget every tactic I've given you, keep this one word: generosity. The most shareable thing in the world is unexpected kindness. Give someone more than they paid for, more than they expected, and you create a small debt of delight in their heart. And the most natural way for a person to repay that debt is to tell people about you. Generosity doesn't just earn word of mouth. Generosity is word of mouth, set in motion. So treat every person in front of you not as one small sale, but as the beginning of 100 more. Overserve them. Give a little more than strict business sense allows, because you're not only serving them, you're planting a seed in everyone they'll ever talk to. This, by the way, is the whole reason the Azeemi Global Foundation and Kotler Impact give all of this away freely to everyone. Generosity offered first is the most powerful invitation there is. People can't help but talk about those who give. So let me leave you with a man I think about often. He opened a tiny tea house on a quiet street with no money, not a single coin, for advertising. By every ordinary measure, he should have failed, but he did three things. He made every cup perfect, every time, consistency. He learned every regular's name and how they took their tea. That small, remarkable surprise. And now and then he'd quietly hand a free cup to a tired old man who couldn't quite afford one, asking nothing, making no show of it. Generosity. He never bought a single advertisement in his life. He didn't have to, because the whole street began to whisper the same sentence. You have to go to his place. Today there's a line out the door, built entirely on whispers. Now come back to where we started. To you, choosing your doctor, your restaurant, because someone you trust told you to. Here's what I most want you to feel as we close. You are that someone for other people. Every day, you are walking, breathing word of mouth, the most powerful marketing force on earth for every shop, every person, every idea you love. You already hold this power. We're only learning now to honor it. So here's your practice this week. 2 small things. First, the next time something delights you, tell someone and notice what made it worth telling. Second, ask yourself the gardener's question about your own work. What's the one remarkable thing I could give people that they couldn't help but talk about? Find that one thing. It might change everything. And in our final talk, we do something wonderful. We close the books, leave the theory behind, and walk out into the world together, into grocery stores and weddings, into markets and cafes and the little neighborhood shops, to see everything we've learned alive in everyday life. Because marketing was never in a textbook. It was always out there, all around you. And in our last talk, I'm going to show it to you. If today made you hear the power in a single whisper, take the short quiz below to lock it in. Subscribe so the final lesson finds you. I'll see you in Talk 7. Thank you as always for spending this time with me. The most powerful words in marketing were never shouted. They were whispered from one trusting heart to another.